Hello, I'm Angela Haynes, the editor of Real Deals. Welcome to the AI-powered GP series. Joining me today, I am Kathryn Pothier, partner at Epiris, and Olivier Mangez, VP of Sales of Alternative Investments at SS&C Intralinks. Hello, both of you. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
To start with, Kathryn, how have you seen LP expectations change regarding the way they access fund information and digest fund data?
LPs are inundated with information requests today, and they're being contacted constantly by GPs, whether that's in search of capital or for direct investments. They're under pressure to create portfolios that consistently outperform the benchmarks that they're set. They're under pressure from their ICs to manage massive portfolios, which means that when they need information from us, the GP, it's both a responsibility and a massive opportunity to be able to provide that information in a really efficient way. And so I think that the substance of the requests hasn't necessarily changed dramatically, but the expectations for the method of delivery and also the timeline for those deliverables has absolutely increased across the board from their GPs.
And Olivier, how does an AI-supported organization ensure that those early touch points are set to the right tone for professional relationship?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I think that we need to accept the fact that the expectation from LPs has completely changed over the last few years, and they expect real-time information, really, when a few years ago they were just very happy with regular report, periodic reports, etc. And definitely GP, they need to adapt to this. So today you have platforms like Fund Center AI that allows to centralize all the information to provide this real-time data. But Kathryn also mentioned that there is this, the GP needs to adapt and be able to deliver this data very, very quickly. Something that we have worked on after interviewing dozens of GPs is on the DDQ dimension of the relationship. GPs, they face today really huge volume of DDQ requests from LPs, and most of the GP that we have met, they are not necessarily equipped to be able to respond really quickly to this volume of incoming requests. So what we have been exploring is how to leverage AI to increase the pace from the blank page to a gray page, so that the GP can then focus his time on refining, fine-tuning the response and to deliver this high-quality response to LPs.
It's clear that LPs want this data clearly. How do you do that in terms of they need to understand what they're seeing, they need to be trusted, they need to know it's accurate. So how do you do that?
Yeah, and it's really a mix of live data. Again, a few years ago, they were just happy receiving PDF documents, and there they were digging into it and trying to extract what they needed. Now their expectation is very different. They really want the data itself. So it's about providing the data, standardizing the data. We have now, for example, the ILPA reporting standard that helps put a frame so that you don't, as a LP, you don't need to adapt to each GP. You can actually standardize the way you access data. And then it's all about the workflow that you're putting in place, and sometimes leveraging the AI that has really changed the way we can see those workflows to deliver fast data with accuracy. I think accuracy is really critical here.
Mm-hmm. And as the volume grows, how do you manage that?
Yeah, it is. If you think as a GP that you can do this manually, it's really just not happen. I was recently talking to a GP launching his fundraising process in the coming weeks. They were expecting 1 DDQ per day. Okay, with an IR team of 5 individuals. How can you manage such a volume of information? You cannot do it manually. So putting in place processes, investing in your data infrastructure, leveraging the new technology is really important for you to be able to scale.
And Kathryn, at the end of the day, it's about getting that investment, getting that relationship going. So, and from your perspective, how much does that speed of response impact the momentum of a relationship during the very critical reporting cycle?
I think it's essential, but I think at the end of the day, as Olivier also mentioned, speed is one factor, but speed is no substitute for accuracy. And so I think it's really important that the GP remembers what they have now saved themselves time for. If they're employing AI to help build these DDQs, maybe draft some responses, or at least automate some of the processes that go into that, that's great. But then how are you using the time that saves you? Are you using it to refine and to fine tune and to make sure that all of the information that goes out is accurate? Because that's what builds trust, not the speed of response. And most LPs would much rather have a fully accurate response in 24 hours than a partial response in 30 minutes, and even less if it's wrong. That's never going to pass the bar. I think also in terms of the information flow that's changed over time, while the core of the reporting standards have been pretty consistent over time, they've been enhanced, they've grown. The volume is the biggest thing that Olivier also mentioned in terms of just more information that's now readily accessible that LPs know to ask for and know they should be asking for, and therefore have come to expect from all of their GPs. We as GPs should also know that. In our team, the first time an LP asks for something, we assume that that's now going to be a regular deliverable because they need it. LPs don't ask for things they don't need. It's clearly additive in some way to their process. At the same time, they also want information that the LPs can interact with. So the dynamism of the information, where it used to be more static, is really important for us to keep in mind as well, which means we have to tailor those responses accordingly. And that is at its heart what we at Epiris call focused transparency. So it's all about giving the information that the LP needs in the way that they need it, in a fashion that's clear and straightforward, and yet also very detailed, very thorough, and also adaptable to the audience. So when they need it, how they need it. Proactive is always better. That's the best version of speed. If you're communicating something before it actually needs to be communicated, that's the best you can hope for. Next, after that, you want to be really timely with all of the responses so that you're never making an LP wait for something, especially if it's something that you already have or could have thanks to technology off the shelf.
And then how do features like permission-based access and AI-driven transparency strengthen and investors' confidence in the GP operations, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's very key. That is, there is a massive volume of information that can be shared with LPs. Now is, what is which information do you share with each LP, right? And permissions is key at all the level. Of course, when you are sharing quarterly reports and capital call statement, etc., you need to have this level of permissioning that is absolutely key to make sure that you segregate information. But also when you are leveraging now AI technology and LLMs, is how do you make sure that your AI model will only use the information that is should be available to one specific LP or another specific LP. And it's really key to, when you deploy the technology, to make sure that this level of permissioning also applies to all the tools that you are deploying. It's very easy, if you are not very careful, to leak information, and just because the tool would have access to information that LPs should not have access to.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And there's this growing sense that a high quality LP experience is becoming a long-term competitive advantage, especially for GPs. So Kathryn, when you're out in the market, do you find that helps differentiate a firm in a crowded field?
Without a doubt. I think the LP experience is fundamental to their decision-making. And while that experience is founded on multiple things, it includes performance of the product or products they're considering, and the GP as well, the overall track record. It also includes the slightly more intangible aspects that are really key to making that decision. The team, the perception of the stability of that team, also the relationship management approach that the team takes to helping that LP get comfortable with what it is they're offering, whether that's a re-up or a brand new LP. regardless, it should be the same sort of high touch approach that the GP takes to be a helpful resource. And at the end of the day, there's never an obligation for an LP to invest in any fund. They don't have to do it. In terms of me coming to market with Epiris's next fund, there isn't any obligation for anyone to underwrite that. So what I need to do is make sure that I make the case as compelling as possible for them to consider it, and then be available to help them through the entire process to make it easy, because there are always going to be competitive options in the field. And so it's our job to prove our differentiation, and the experience is the underpinning of all of that. So whether you continue to take care of your LPs during a cycle versus just when you're fundraising is a huge piece of information that those LPs now use to say, do I want to continue backing this GP? Do they really show that they care in between funds, or do they just consider it to be the episodic kind of fundraising, exercise where they're coming to me for capital, but only when they need it? And now there's a much more well-rounded playing field for them to look at. How does the GP consider all the aspects of differentiation and how it delivers value? Technology and the providings that brings are one piece of it that now the LP is going to consider probably more than they have before.
Yeah, the user experience really matters all around, doesn't it? Definitely. But Olivia, are you seeing a difference between those GPs that are really embracing technology and those that maybe are still, let's say, stuck in their manual ways?
Yeah, of course. I think, as Kathryn mentioned, LPs, they judge you based on how you communicate with them. And nowadays, usually the first touch point that an investor will have with a GP is actually a digital touch point. Okay. This is how they will assess, the GP. The first impression matters a lot, right? So I think that today, being digital when you're a GP, it's the base of what you need to do. It's not optional anymore. LPs, I don't think that they expect any GP today who would have manual process, manual reporting, manual communication. I think that they expect a portal. They expect process to go fast, to get access to their data quickly. And yeah, obviously, it set the bar a bit higher nowadays, for GPs, but the technology exists to achieve this.
I think you have to have both, though. I think exactly to that point on the digital and analog front, we as GPs have to have both, because that's what's going to deliver the best version of what we do to our LPs. Equally, I think they expect it. They want everything to be really buttoned down and well articulated and high integrity data processing, but they also want the analog human approach. And so far, there isn't a tool that even approximates that, which is great, because we still have the roles that we have, and they're really valuable in that way. But I think also how you use them, and whether you start conflating technology with actual client service and support, it's not the same thing. It is the support for the support. The support is us. It's us providing what we do to them, and how we use technology is one piece now that can make us even better at doing it with way more data than we've ever had. But it's on us to use it well.
So would you describe what you're seeing today in terms of the tech stack, the AI availability, the support, as you put it? Do you see that as being the standard now for the industry?
Yeah. And as Kathryn mentioned, the digitalization of the process doesn't mean that we put people aside, right? LPs, they still want to have a white glove approach, right? But they also want to be able to consume data much faster than they were in the past. And GP, they need to manage this dual approach. And it's key. So yeah, we're not putting people aside. I agree, Matt.
So if there was a GP who was very manual processed and didn't really have, hasn't done the investment, let's say, in the tech stack yet, what one piece of advice would you give them to embrace it and move forward?
I think that they should jump. It's not so difficult. You need to do it first. At Intralinks, we're here also to help our customers. I think that we also value the personal touch. We provide more than technology. We have team that help our customers deploy the technology. So yeah, you need to start step by step. Probably you won't deploy AI right away. But yeah, having a portal, I think is the first step that you can do. And then you move step by step, structure your data, and there is a path forwards.
And I would just say it's never too late to make an investment as a GP in something that you've determined is the right next step to make. So I think there's commonly a temptation among GPs to be reactive to what's going on in the environment around us. And that's very tempting for lots of good reasons, because we need to be able to be seen as being responsive, but we also need to be actually responsive to what's happening and react the right way. However, I think it still comes back to, as a GP, the best thing we can do is be really clear about what it is we're there to do, what it is we're delivering, and then build everything from that standpoint. And in so doing, you get a chance to be more proactive, to say, this is what we think is going to help us do this even better, and to rationalize every decision as you make it, not because it becomes set in stone and you can never change it, but because then you've got the grounding to say, we've got the support of our team, we've got the support of our investors, this is why we're investing in this tool, it's going to lead to this, which is going to lead to, and you have the whole argument already made for you because you've spent the time, you've done your homework, you've picked the tools, and you're not then late to the party on something that, or if you are, it's maybe for a good reason, but it's never too late.
Kathryn, Olivier, thank you very much for your great insights. It was lovely to hear from you. Join us again soon for another video in the SS&C Intralinks video series on the AI-powered GP.